Will the president accept the results of November's elections?
Look, Ed, you should tune into the president's speech tonight before you jump ahead to conclusions about what's actually in the speech. Again, I've seen a lot of reporting and misreporting about what the president will say. We hope CBS will take the speech, and all Americans should take it.
All right, let's get to Paul Rieckhoff, the host of the Independent Americans podcast here in New York. Good to see you, my friend.
You too.
How do you see the politics of this ahead of it?
I think it's going to be a big night. I think he's breaking a seal that he hasn't really broken before. And what I think he's doing, usually reserve these speeches for a case for war. I think he's going to make a case for why the elections shouldn't be trusted. He's always said he wants to undermine or attack or disrupt the November elections, the midterm elections. He said that out loud. He usually telegraphs his punches. And I think that's what he's going to talk about tonight. He's going to talk about 2020, but it's building up toward this fall because he's pushed against electronic voting.
Right.
He's pushed against, he's sent the FBI down to explore this. I think he's making a case that will ultimately undermine free and fair elections this fall. I think it's a big deal.
But he's never presented any evidence to support any kind of this massive, widespread fraud. But are you suggesting that there might be something presented tonight?
I think that's what they've said he's going to do. I think he says he's going to make a case. He's going to lay it all out. And it's not unlike when he was talking about Iran. Unfortunately, he did it after he hit Iran. But he threw a bunch of stuff at the wall. Not all of it stuck. It wasn't always focused, but he picked a target, and then he made a case around why he was justified in focusing on that target. I think he's going to do the same thing tonight, focused on our election system. He might blame China, he might blame others, but I think it's going to be about ultimately weakening the elections because they are a real threat to his power. They are a circuit breaker that can slow him down, and by focusing on that, he can expand his power and keep rolling forward.
The future elections,
Yeah.
meaning the midterms and beyond, the 2028 presidential election that comes up after that. But when I ask, about the politics of all of this, there's been so much said. There were articles written about how other Republicans, if you talk to them, they said they don't want any of this. They don't want him speaking about this topic. And Democrats, in their ways, seem like they do almost invite it. They're getting out ahead of it. The John Ossoffs of the world, for example, who's running for re-election in Georgia, it's almost like, if you kind of read between the lines of Senator Ossoff, like he sees this as a chance, even in the hearings yesterday, to almost make political commercials for himself, try to get people on the record about, hey, who won 2020, and that you could see that being a political ad. I mean, is that how you see the politics as well?
I think Ossoff does see this as an opportunity for himself. Georgia will again be a focus. He's in the spotlight.
Yeah.
He's considered a rising star. But I think going back to Trump, Trump doesn't care what the Republicans think. He doesn't care what the Democrats think. He's all gas, no brakes, just like he was in Venezuela, just like he was in Iran, just like he's been in, for example, expanding the deployment of National Guard troops. They just expanded the National Guard in Washington, D.C. to 2029, which is right after inauguration.
Right.
He doesn't care about polls, and I don't think he cares about his own party. He is focused on his agenda moving forward, and I think tonight is an extension of that.
Now, you mentioned Iran. Let me get a quick word on that, and then one other issue I wanted to get into you as well, given we always talk about the military, which is kind of a strange one. But on Iran, Caroline Leavitt today, first briefing since she came back from maternity leave, said this and more, but said this about Iran. Listen.
Iran very much continues to talk to the United States of America and express that they want to make a deal with us because they are suffering devastating blows on behalf of our United States military. Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon. That's why he launched Operation Epic Fury. They have suffered devastating blows to their military and their economy as a result. The president is always open and willing to diplomacy. He is the peace through strength president after all.
Now, we've heard a lot of that type of commentary now for months. The New York Times had an analysis where they said in Iran, President Trump risks another American forever war, something obviously he promised to avoid. How do you see things?
I think he's definitely in a quagmire, was developing into a quagmire. I've called it a sucking chest wound. It keeps pulling in our military. It's pulling in gas prices in our economy and now diesel prices. The impact on the global economy has been tremendous. He's always been on forever war. I mean, he's hit almost a dozen different countries since he's been president, ranging from Venezuela to Iran to boats off the Gulf. So I think it's a real risk for our democracy to understand that a lot of what he's doing militarily hasn't gone by Congress. We've already been engaged in forever war. And we saw that after 9/11 and the global war on terror. It was a global war on terrorism that extended from Afghanistan to Iraq around the world. And it was a forever war for 20 years.
Right, but
a generation of military folks like me got swept up in that.
I know, but President Trump is the guy who said, well, no more of that kind of thing.
And that's why so much of his base, I think, is pushing back. Again, I don't think he cares about polls. I don't think he cares about what Republicans or Democrats say. He wants to move forward. He's going to keep pushing on Iran. And the sad part is we can't believe the Iranians, and I don't think we can believe Caroline Leavitt either. Both of them have their spin on this. What we know is that the war continues to drag on. It's not over, despite what all of them have been saying. Here we are, another month, and the war continues.
5 consecutive nights of strikes in the present, and it seems like, if anything, it's escalating. The kind of, as I said, weird story that I want to ask you about. I love the Blue Angels, by the way. I was down, I saw the flyovers in Washington for the July 4th. So anytime I'm always in for a flyover. But this is weird. So the Blue Angels were flying over beaches in Florida, and Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, put something out on social media. So look at this. So they're flying over. He said, well, that's great, but whoa. Apparently that type of thing really kind of freaked some people out. They came so low, there were tents shaking and all that kind of thing. So Hegseth put something out where he said something to the effect
Flyovers will continue until morale improves.
Right, they'll continue until morale improves. I'm like, well, who's morale? Like, who's morale? What's going on here?
Our military is not there for our entertainment. They're not a prop. They're not a toy. And every military analyst will understand this is a violation of protocol. You're not supposed to fly that close to civilians because it's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
And I think what you see is Hegseth is kind of appealing to be the popular Secretary of War or Secretary of Defense, but not the one who abides by the rules. And they normally would be reprimanded. There would be disciplinary action. He says, no, that's not happening here. I don't know what he's going to do, if he's going to reward them with a tour of Kid Rock's mansion. Or
well, that was the other thing. Right?
Yeah, but
it's almost like saying, oh, if you object to this or think that, or you get scared, or whatever, that somehow you're not patriotic.
I love the Blue Angels. I saw them here for America 250. My kids love them. I go to air shows. But this is about safety, and it's about accountability, and about ensuring that we abide by the rules. And you can't just let the rules go because you think it makes for a great show.
Well, your morale sounds pretty good, so maybe he'll call it off now.
I'm still riding high on the Knicks, so my morale will be good for the rest of the summer.
Well, ESPYs last night, too.
Amazing, right? We've got sports. The World Cup, it's all keeping us together and united. I think there's a lot of positivity around sports right now.
Well, hopefully we can see the World Cup. That's the sky improves.
It's a real issue.
I know.
This is like nothing we've seen except for the last time it happened.
And we got, yeah, exactly. When it was orange. Now we got the World Cup final on Sunday. All right, Paul, thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you, Colin.
Paul Rieckhoff. Now, the rains keep coming. So this is crazy in Texas. More than 6 million Texans across 57 counties in the state are now under flood watches.